What's going on, guys, and welcome on in. In today's video, let's make a quick TLDR, a quick guide on what this recall is about, and how you can best take advantage of it, okay? So recently, we had a bug fix for Champion Zerato, in which we were able to recall him. We got a selector, and we were able to get these things back called these meteor shards if you had any imprints in him already. It's going to be functionally the same thing for Challenger Dominiel. These are 4-star imprints. You can use them on any 4-star you want. And on top of that, let's go ahead and take a look at the page here. You also get back your penguins, your fodder, everything else. And along with it, guys, here's the big part. You get a 4-star ML Selector. What does that mean? Essentially, if you recall your Challenger Dominiel, you can get any 4-star in the game, even up to the most recent ML Kawana. That's huge, guys. So let's break down whether or not I think you should exchange your Challenger Dominiel. We'll go through a few different scenarios, as well as if you do decide to exchange her, what unit would probably be best if you're just looking for an overall power boost. Of course, you really just want to go for what you want most, but I'm going to go ahead and give you all a little bit of info on which ones I think are the best if you're just looking for a power boost, okay? First things first, guys, let's go ahead and just talk about Challenger Dominiel as a whole, where she stands in the current part of the game. And just a heads up, guys, I will be recalling mine. I have a triple S, heavily mola, I think plus 13 mola. It's not that she's bad. I'll give y'all some clarity. It's more that I can't really run her at the moment, so I'll break down a few things here. Maybe some of y'all are in a similar situation to me. I just haven't really used her in the past year or so. There's been a few situations which I'll cover, like Abyss 100, but realistically, another unit could have done that job, and I think those molas could be good elsewhere. Now, keep in mind, I have a dupe as a backup because I think she's still a very amazing unit. She looks great. She's one of my favorite styled units, but yeah, I just can't take great advantage of her at the moment, so I will be taking my resources back from her, and I'll tell y'all what I'm going to do with my selector. But real fast, let's break down what she does, guys. She's she's extremely important for that cleave. Let's talk about PvP cleave style setup. High tempo, high damage, full momentum. She just takes a lead, gives your teammate crit, and she'll nuke something to death. She can also toggle hells, gives good souls. She's very, very amazing for those cleave speed type builds. So if you like that kind of playstyle, you need to keep a Challenger Dominiel. Also, a quick heads up, guys. If you don't have a Challenger Dominiel watching this video, please don't get sad that you don't have one. You still have a chance to pull one. Keep in mind, too, guys, you have to have a level 50 Challenger Dominiel. Let me show you right here. If your Challenger's Dominiel is not level 50, you're gonna get no recall button. Just be aware you can use fodder to level her up before the recall event ends, and you can still, if you were lucky enough to pull one between now and then, you can still just level one up real fast and recall that. Okay, so where were we? PvP, very strong, but more for that niche cleave speed team. I'm sure there's some situations where she can be run outside of that scenario, guys, but that's realistically what she's for. PvE, though, she is still very strong, can be used in expeditions, raids. She's a strong single target nuke and can give some support with her crit chance, as well as she gets a stacking attack boost, we should say now. That's what this recall is happening with. And on top of that, she's very strong in Abyss Floor 100. Now, she's not required there, but keep in mind, guys, if you did have a Challenger Dominiel, she makes Abyss Floor 100 very, very much easier. And I actually used her there as well, but it is not required at all. You might just have to use another unit and might have to work a little bit harder, but those are kind of the scenarios she's good in. Now, let's go through a few things. If you don't fit that cleaver playstyle like me, then maybe you can let go of Challenger Dominiel, especially if you need one of these other ML4s we're about to talk about way more. Now, also, guys, if you have a spare dupe like this, level 5 sitting around, I would do this, especially if you're missing some other ML4s, like I said. Go ahead and just exchange if you have a dupe, no questions asked. But if you only have one Challenger Dominiel, really consider for yourself. Look at the pros and cons. Do you think you can use her later on? Like I said, speed cleave. She does have PV potential, but let's go ahead and talk about the other ML4s that I think are contenders, because maybe that'll lean you one way or the other on whether or not you want to recall. Because it's a big decision, okay? Be careful before you commit, especially if you only have one. But, guys, let's talk about the top contenders for ML4s, because we can select any other ML4 in the game. Well, I'm sure by now, guys, you've heard of this man doggo already. General Purgis. I think this should be your #1 pick overall. Remember, a lot of ML4s are very strong, and I'll kind of cover some honorable mentions, but I'll name the top 3, I think, in terms of just power and overall usability for both PvP and PvE. And then I'll do some honorable mentions for some other really strong ones. But realistically, if you do decide to recall Challenger Dominiel, go for what you want at the end of the day. Just, you know, there are some that are better than others objectively. So, General Purgis. Why do I think he's #1? Well, let's start with the most important thing, Wyvern Tank. He will make gearing so much easier because you don't need to build as much speed on your units because of his combat readiness push on his skill 2, as well as combined with the S2EE. Just insane amounts of CR push. The best Wyvern tank, bar none. Don't let anyone kid you otherwise. There are other options to use, but he will speed up the run, he'll make it safer, and he makes gearing so much easier. On top of that, guys, PvP, he's an extreme threat. One of the most powerful, probably as strong as ML5s at the moment. Definitely stronger than, as strong as ML5s. He's just so good because of the CR push, like we mentioned. He has HP scaling damage now, and he has attack up AoE S3. Just extremely strong, almost a never bad pick. Just, he's good at every part of the game. You gotta get him if you don't have him yet. Unless you really, really dislike him and you don't care too much about PvP, then maybe you can avoid him. But even for PvE, like I said, for Wyvern 13, the best tank unit, bar none. Now, after General Purgis, I think #2 has to be Champion Zerato. I mentioned him earlier. He was the last recall unit, and he actually got bug fixed, which was kind of a nerf. It was a bug fix, but a lot of people viewed it as a nerf. I've covered him in some of my other videos, guys. He's just amazing for PvE. Let's start with that. He'll make Raid and Azmonak, the A11 through 13 boss, super easy. I'm sure he has some potential in some Abyss floors, but anything that has debuffs, he is the king. Slap on the free lifesteal set and he can do work, so he's relatively easy to gear in the beginning, and then later on you can give him some better gear. And then of course in PvP, if your opponent brings debuffers, he is never bad. He's amazing. He can single-handedly destroy some comps in Guild Wars, PvP, and then RTA. If your opponent drafts too many debuffers and they leave him up, they're in for a bad time. So overall, just because of PvP plus PvE, we're going to rate him as #2. But #3 could be higher up, in my opinion. Just she has no use in PvE, so let's get that out of the way. T-Surin, I'm sure you can use her in PvE as a farmer, as something, as a single target DPS, but realistically, she's not that great. There's better options. However, for PvP, guys, she is an absolute monster. One of the highest threat units in the game. Very hard to counter. There have been some counters come out lately that do sort of stop her in her tracks, like, Archdemon Shadow and Top Model Luluka. But if she's uncontested like that, very hard to take out, especially on lifesteal. She's just going to keep stealthing herself, removing debuffs, and, you know, especially if she's combined with an Aureus or Barrier from Fallen Cecilia, you're going to have to hit her multiple times, and she's going to keep lifestealing, keep AoE S3ing, and then if you have Dreamblade or Alexis Basket, she's just absolutely a terror. Super hard to deal with, and I think every player that wants to play PvP seriously should try to grab one Tempest Surin. So, General Purgis #1, Champion Zerato #2, just for overall PvP plus PvE, but Tempest Surin, obviously, if you're catered to PvP and you have some other debuff answers like Designer Lilibet or some cleansers, then you don't really need Champion Zerato. I would move her up a little bit, okay? But I think G Purgis takes a clear #1. Let me know what you guys are planning to do. Other honorable mentions, guys, real fast, would be units like Fighter Maya. I think is an amazing unit. Kind of overshadowed lately, but very strong, especially in PvP. We have the newly buffed Troublemaker Crozet. Guys, I've been hearing so much about him. If you like protecting your Landy or other DPS unit, after his buffs, he's absolutely insane, so look into him. Especially if you already have G-Purg, T-Surin, Chamz, etc. Singelica is another good one. I'm just listing off a few that are come off the top of my head, guys, that are very solid ML4s. And then, of course, the newly buffed Moonlight Carmen is back in the spotlight. She's actually shaping up to be very nice, especially in higher level PvP. Now, I rated the #1 and 2 still because of PvP plus PvE, but overall, go for what you want, guys. I'm going to tell y'all right now, since I already have all the ML4s, let me end the video with a quick little trick. Most of y'all should know this, but if for some of my new players, maybe you don't know, there's actually a unit, I think mine's in the storage somewhere, but let me show y'all real fast. Sorry, guys, let me get through this. Guys, if you already have all the ML4s and you have a dupe c.dom, I'm sure one of you watching is in the same situation as me. Here's what I would advise you to get. Guide or Aether, okay? Why? Not because he's great or anything, but you can get a ton of silver transmits by triple S-ing a 4-star, and you'll get so many silver transmits back by putting in the 3-star blue aethers into him. So you get the bonus of using only 3-star fodder, but getting 4-star triple S payback in these silver transmits. So just a heads up, that's what I'll be doing. That was my list on the top ML4s I think you should get. Also, real fast too, guys, one last note. If you think you had a dupe Challenger Dominiel, keep in mind, especially if you didn't do the Champion Zerato, you can contact support. I think they're going to set up a bot or something y'all can message. And if you think you have a dupe Challenger Dominiel in your old Challenger Dominiel, you can ask them to refund that. I think in exchange you won't get the slates, but if you wanted to keep a separate c.dom and you think you had 2 at one point, you just put one in the other one, then double check with them, and maybe you can use, you can have a recall while also keeping one Challenger Dominion on the side. That would be the best case scenario, okay? So make sure you check that out. I'll put all the links in the description below, boys. Other than that, good luck. Let me know what you end up picking. And, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.